Thanks for tuning in and welcome back to the shop. This is our 2013 Mitsubishi Fuso FG that I'm slowly turning into an overland camper. Now, unfortunately for me, it is still, winter outside and it's invading my shop. And it's not that warm in my shop, so I'm gonna stick to working inside the box where it's a little bit warmer. So what are we doing today? Well, a couple little things. One, I'm pretty happy with how this trim came out in the last video. So we're gonna do the same thing up here. Well, not quite the same thing, and there's a couple things that I need to do before we can put that down. I've also had an unfinished outlet install for, well, a long time, and that's probably one of the more useful outlets for me to have while I'm working on things in here. So we'll try and get that wired in. And at some point, you probably noticed that this box is missing the lid. That's a pretty easy one, but somehow I managed to lose the screws that hold it on. Even though I've never taken anything out of this space, I'm already not able to find things in here. But I've located some screws, so now we can put the lid on and make that a little bit more finger safe. But let's start with finishing up this part of the step with some trim, and as you may be able to tell, this floor is just sitting here right now. It's not actually attached to anything, so it can slide around. So we need to start by securing the floor to the frame. How am I gonna do that without having exposed hardware that's holding it down? Well, because the trim will actually cover up more than an inch of the top surface, and this is T-slot extrusion. I've slipped in a 1/4-20 nut slug in there. I should just be able to install a countersunk 1/4-20 that sits flush with the floor, and then the trim goes on over top. That is the plan.
That's a really impressive plan.
I've placed the nut slugs about 1.5 inches or 38 millimeters in from the edge. And I know that they're gonna be 1/2 inch back from the front of this because this is 1 inch wide. So what I need to do now is put a piece of tape on top, come in 1.5 inches, come back 1/2 inch. That's where my hole should go. Now the nice thing about the nut slugs is I can slide them along the channel. So if I'm not exactly in the right place along the channel, I can move them back and forth. What I do need to do is make sure I am exactly 1/2 inch back, or 12.5 millimeters or 12.7 millimeters, so that I can line up with the center of that channel. Next, I'm gonna mark where my 1.5 inches is. Again, not super critical, because I can shift the nut slug back and forth a little bit if we're not in the right place. But for aesthetics, even though it's underneath the trim, I want to get it as close as I can. Now I'm going to use a piece of the trim to set my square so that it's in the middle at 12.7 or 1/2 inch. And now I'll use where that's set to come back from the edge and mark across. So this is where my bolt needs to go. Of course, I do actually have a little bit of play there, because if my bolt hole is too far forward, I can just push the floor back, and if my bolt hole is too far back, I can just pull my floor forward a little bit. I'm not going to be able to go 1/4 inch, but I can go 1 millimeter or so in either direction. And yes, you probably caught what I just said. Welcome to listening to a Canadian do some measuring. Not only are we bilingual and can use metric and imperial, but we use them together at the same time. So no, it's not 3¼ inches, it's 3 inches 6¼ millimeters, eh?
Good old Canada.
Now that I'm gonna drill this hole, if I was to drill it right here, I would end up going through and into my T-slot extrusion. So all I need to do is just push everything back, make sure my plywood stays lined up with my laminate. Now I can take this, I'm starting with a smaller pilot bit, it's easier to see to get it centered on the hole. And the laminate's pretty soft, so don't really need to go fast or push hard. Now I'm going to up that to a larger drill bit, go through again. This drill bit is pretty sharp, so it's going to pull hard to go through. I need to really make sure I keep my drill vertical this way and this way, because I don't want my hole in the bottom to be off. That wasn't what we wanted. Okay, and we got that hole through. And then lastly, I'm going to countersink the top so the bolt head can sink in. You know, every day I get better at picking really bad camera angles. All right, and now we'll vacuum everything up and see how it fits. And now with the floor secure, I can do the easy part, the trim. Of course, step one is trimming the trim with my scissors. So I've marked this out at the width, a couple of quick snips from each direction, and we'll end up with the right width, hopefully. And now with it trimmed to the right width, we can put the Velcro on. Now I may do the same as what I did on the shower and just run along the top with the Velcro. I may, after I try that, decide that I want some on the front just to help keep it tight back that way. Down here, it actually overhangs the edge quite a bit, but I needed it to do that. Up here, I'd like it to be as tight and as far back as possible. As for which Velcro goes where, I'm gonna do the same as what I did around the shower. I'm gonna put the fuzzy stuff on the floor, and I'm gonna put the grippy stuff on the trim. Now, I don't have to go as accurately along the very edge here. I'm just gonna cover the screw up and then I'll trim that back out afterwards. No going back once you start sticking this down. It's pretty sticky stuff. Already can't see the screws. Velcro's on both halves, and just before I stick it down, I have cleared off the heads of the two screws so that I can get them out later if I want to. And this part should be about as straightforward as you can get. I don't know where that came from, but I just found a screw. I hope this setup works, because I'm kind of starting to like how it goes together. Well, top of my tripod just came off. I guess rip one more tripod. Now you may have noticed that I secured the front, but I haven't yet secured the back. And that's because the setup at the back will be a little bit different, because there's going to be a little vertical wall here. So how I retain the floor in the back will get done when I'm ready to put that wall in. And something else you may have noticed, and you may have noticed this when I did the shower one and made a comment, but I haven't seen it yet because although I finished that video and posted it, I haven't made this one yet when it comes. Anyway, something else you may have noticed is that both on this upper floor and on the shower floor, I've used this kind of backwards. This is intended to be a grip surface that goes on the top so you don't slip off of it. I have done that intentionally. I don't want the ribbed surface on the top. I prefer the smooth look, so that's why I've done that, if you're wondering. And I did mention earlier that I might be putting Velcro on the front surface as well, but I think for now I'm happy with it just on the top. I can always add it on the front later if I find that it's shifting around. And with that, let's move on to an easy one. This is done. Let's put the lid on. I feel safer already. Now that the panel is a little more finger safe, let's wrap up the kitchen outlet. Speaking of safe, let's make sure we don't have any power here before we start. And just to be sure, let's make sure the tool works. Nothing ouchy here. Grab your favorite set of wire strippers. I really like these ones. And we're gonna strip off the end of all three. Nice and quick and easy. Why do I really like these? Well, because they adjust to whatever size wire you're actually stripping, and they can also strip the casing off of wire. And they're dirt cheap. Always make sure you use ratcheting crimpers so that you don't uncrimp too early. That is not at all what I meant to have come out of my mouth. You can't uncrimp. If you release the crimpers too early before you make a full compression cycle, you won't properly crimp the barrel onto the wire. You'll end up with a loose connection, and that's how you end up with things like fires. Ratcheting crimpers don't release until you've made the full crimp, so you can't end up with a crimp that's too loose. Versus the word that I just made up of uncrimped, which pretty sure isn't a word and I don't think it's really possible. Anyway, you get the idea. Bottom line, we want to do it properly. Or as Mike Holmes would say, when there's a Canadian reference for you, do it right. With the wires on, we can put it in. Can someone explain to me why we still use flat screws to hold cover plates on? And while we're at it, wow, that's really hard to see. Let me brighten that up. What is your correct orientation for these screws? Lined up with the slots or like that? I don't want to start an argument in the comments section, but I have a feeling some people are hardcore this way and some people are hardcore this way and some people have never even looked or thought about it. Huh. I just realized that I'm not actually going to be able to use this outlet because I still haven't hooked it up at the other end, which means I'm going to have to take the lid off the box again. That was kind of a waste of time. At least I'll know where the screws are next time. Just want to add a quick point of information here. I get a lot of questions about items that I use in videos and where I get them. Make sure if you're interested in the items that I'm using, you check out the links in the video description. You'll have to hit the more button, but there's links and information there that you might find useful. Check it out. And that is 3 more little steps closer to being done. There are a lot of steps left before I'm done, but that's 3 closer. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, make sure you hit the like button. If you see it, hit the hype button. If you haven't already, consider subscribing. Make sure you check the links in the video description. But most importantly, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.